enforcement kills more people than any other set of law enforcement units in the country. Master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. We have to be in these streets. We have to shut it down. We're going to continue to use every single tool in our toolbox.
Good morning, this is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused. I'm here in San Jose, California. And the reason I'm here in San Jose, California is I was asked to come out here to investigate the unhoused, the houseless situation here. I went twice to San Luis Obispo to look at some situations there, and I have been covering Los Angeles, California. And it is my aim at We The Unhoused is to expand the viewpoint of what houselessness is all over the country and all over the world. So this is the first of many series that I'm going to be in other places to examine the realities of houselessness and where the cities and basically the world looks at the unhoused community and how they treat them. So behind me is a very tranquil, a very beautiful background, as you can see. But if you take a step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you will see behind me that there is a different reality. This is the reality that the rest of the world don't want you to see. This is where, in such beauty, there's people trying to survive and make it from day to day. I've interviewed a few people here that's past me, Daniel and John, and got their perspectives on how it is, how they lived out here, and how they came to be. And both of them have had the stories that they didn't magically appear out here. They had different circumstances, but the end result that they're out here. From criminalization, and they both have in common, as well as how they have discarded our houseless community, our vulnerable community, our disabled community, and unfortunately people that have been released from the penal system and how they treat them as well. As a society, we have a lot of work to do and a lot to unpack in how we view people, and it's way in our viewpoint of always criminalizing them. We've allowed our city council members to run roughshod without checks and balances and without accountability, and thus they have become the criminals that they proclaim to be against. So follow me in San Jose. You're going to see a lot of beautiful sights, and you're going to see some that's going to be very heartbreaking. This is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused, and I hope we learn and we again meet in the light of understanding today. This is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused. I'm here in San Jose, California, and I'm talking to one of our unhoused neighbors, and he's going to tell us a little bit of stories about his disability. So without further ado, let's get his name. What's your name, sir?
Bill Pitcher.
Bill Critchley. So how long have you been out in the streets?
10 years.
10 years. What happened? You still was telling us about your disability. What happened there?
I have a broke neck and my back it was hyperextended, so I messed up my disability. So I had to wait to reapply, and now I'm ready for Social Security. So I applied for my Social Security at 62. I got no choice.
Right.
I could fight disability drag on it. So I'm gonna get a little tiny chick to stay alive, but it's better than a big method.
So what do you think? Because what's this going on with the COVID-19? How are you handling it? What's going on? Did anybody tell you anything? Did they tell you to leave here or anything like that?
Yeah, we've been told to leave. We got a 24-hour, real recent here, just 24-hour, yeah.
Wow.
And what I know about it is stay away. I don't go anywhere. I don't go by people. I don't go to stores. I try not to. I have to eat, but that's about it. Yeah.
So how do you make it here? Do you guys? Where's your bathrooms and showers? It's a little bit different than Los Angeles. I don't see it like any porta potties and things like that.
No.
So you just gotta go out to nature.
In Oregon, they give you a porta potty.
So you go to the restroom where? Here and where?
Bags.
Bags.
That way you can throw it away.
Oh, that way you can. Okay.
Otherwise the smell catch up with you.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you said you've been unhoused for 10 years. I've been for 7. What caused you to become out on the street?
I had an accident and I messed my neck up real bad, and I've been unable to lift any amount of weight for any amount of time. I mean, I can't make an 8-hour shift.
So I was going to say, what were you doing? Were you working when you hurt your neck?
I was a handyman.
You was a handyman. Oh, okay. So are you originally from San Jose?
I'm originally from Ohio.
Oh, really? What made you come out from here?
I'm from Ohio to California to Oregon, and then back to California.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
A lot of years apart, though.
Well, usually people that ask this question, why did you want to go to a shelter?
I have PTSD, and I didn't know this until I had to hit one of them. But the chow house and various other things put me into a bad space, and it was too much of a battle. It was too much. It's easier out here, even though I had a guy try to kill me out here with a rock one morning. Woke me up and said, "Good morning, sir. How are you?" And I said, "Fine. What do you need, youngster?" And he goes, "You're a good man." And he hits me in the head with a rock.
Oh my God!
He continues
was
to
he on
beat me with it.
Oh my goodness! Was this someone that you knew, or did you?
No, it was just that most of these people you meet them 2-3 times and they disappear.
Oh my goodness! That's so sorry. I'm sorry to hear that.
So it does get robbed. It gets robbed. And in 10 years, there's been more than one.
Yeah.
But you can't stay in the shelter.
Yeah.
One thing I did like, that we had a HUP program in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
I lived in a HUP pine. I actually ran the camp for 2 years.
Right. Man.
Much better deal.
Oh, wow.
It's insulated.
Yeah. They were talking about trying to do housing for unhoused people, like tiny homes and things like that. I said, well, that makes a lot more sense than just throwing them out and just letting them be freezing to death and things like that. What do you think?
They have there?
Yeah. Well, they're doing. That's the thing
We're
too.
working on it here. I mean, I've heard of it. Outreach hasn't been able to locate anything for me. Because I'm right there. I'm at my Social Security. I'm giving people a check.
Good morning, sir. We're out on the street. We're here with our own podcast, and we just interviewed a friend of ours. Would you mind talking to us if you got time? I know you're a busy man, so business appointments, and you're a popular guy. So my name is Theo. What's your name, sir? Daniel. So what do you think? How long have you been out here?
Almost 2 years.
Oh, 2 years. What made you get out here out in this location?
I got out of Elmwood.
Got out of who?
Elmwood.
I don't know what that means.
Correctional facility.
Oh, because I'm from Chicago.
Jail.
Oh, I see. So was it easy to manage out here? Do they have any services to help people get on their feet when they leave to jail?
Sort of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you came to this community, and how are you handling the COVID-19?
Fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about what measures do you take to keep yourself safe? Because like people think that unhoused people have COVID-19.
None. I really don't take any measures. Valley Med tested us twice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you have taken measures. You
Yeah.
made sure
They
you
didn't
get
come
tested.
pick me up.
Yeah, really.
I
Okay.
said, what will happen? She goes, I'll give you a motel room. I go, well, give it to me then.
Yeah. They had Project Room Key. Yeah.
I'll be
about the other
sick for a
predators
week
out
if I
here.
get to lay down in bed.
What other predators? Because I've got the ones in.
Human predators.
Oh, okay. Because I know, like, where we're in Los Angeles, we have those too. So it's one of the things that's very scary. What are the things that, in order for us to help you, would you be okay with? You like the tiny homes idea. Would you be okay with having a tiny home or Project Room Key or Home Key?
Yeah, if it helps others, yes.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Daniel and John, this is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused. I thank you very much for your time. Do you have any other stuff?
I'd settle for a trailer park. Come on.
Oh, okay. We can do the trailer parks with a viable idea.
Give me a trailer.
Okay. And I hope we'll learn a little bit more what's going on here in San Jose.
So, where you are?
All right, this is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused, and I'm here in San Jose, California, and I have met a very talented young man here. His name is Raheem, and he's going to tell me a little bit about his story. Just tell us how you got here. You was living with someone, right? And what happened?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was a resident in the community. I lived here for about 39 years. And I don't know, like I went to a local shelter and, you know, it was ran by, you know, a friend of mine. I thought it was a friend of mine, you know. And I don't know, I've known him like 10 years plus, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm exited, you know, banished from the opportunity of being able to utilize the services or any of that shit. You know, and then I'm just like banished away from the place, you know, so I'm like, well, I gotta find a place to go. And that's what I found, you know. I felt like, well, as a native, you know, indigenous person, you know, in my bloodline, like, I'm just gonna look into my inherent survival ability, you know.
I was going to tell you too, because like, for example, when you said like he threw you out during COVID time, didn't he?
Yeah, that's, you know, I was kind of shocked, you know, to be honest. You know, I've seen a lot of, wickedness going on since all this had started. Call it the pandemic, you know. But you know, a lot of people that I've known and I've trust, you know, they've given me the cold shoulder, and they really, a lot of people's colors, you know, are showing.
Yeah.
Straight up,
Really there.
you know. There's a lady being out here. I built up a little perimeter with my tent. She wanted to sick her dog on me, talking about she's spiritual and this is sacred land, and it's like, but don't you know that the Hopi, you know, they say the world is Koyaanisqatsi, meaning a world that has fallen out of balance because people have forgotten how to share.
That is quite profound. The Hopi does have a saying of that. One of the things that's struck me is too, you guys are social distancing without the city telling you to. It's very spacious here. Your guys' your spots are very far away. Why here instead of like in the city? Why did you guys choose here?
looks like an area, you know, it hasn't been disturbed. I'm surprised it hasn't been disturbed, you know, because usually they try to regulate, you know, push people out or whatever, and calm the land or whatever they do, you know, whatever type of strategy they use. I don't understand why. Being a resident in the community, I don't feel like I just want to leave yet, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not necessarily a settler, but, you know, I'm out here sustaining as a nomad, you know. But being out here, I like this location because you actually have room where you can pitch a fire, you know what I mean? It ain't gonna cause no harm, you know, and it ain't really bothering nobody, you know. Everyone's got their own little area, and with the social distancing thing, you know, it works out. So.
Yeah. Where do you guys go to use the restrooms? Do you have a restroom or showers or porta potties? How do you guys take care of that?
There's a service out here, it's called Dignity on Wheels, and they have locations that you can meet them at, you know, but you gotta be disciplined, you know, so you gotta have some type of discipline. You can't be no lazy motherfucker run around eating Kentucky Fried Chicken all day, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, but real though, you gotta get up at a certain time, you gotta get there and meet them, you know. They offer laundry as well, you know, so it's a good practical service for the community.
You also mentioned too, I want to highlight two things. One, that you keep yourself in shape. You say you run and you keep it up. And the second thing is that you are a musician. So what is your skill sets, and do you have any music, or do you play instruments, or what's your talent you have?
Well, yeah, for sure. I'm a local musician. I've been making music well over 19 to 19 years. I don't know. I like a lyricist, vocalist, you know, guitarist. Just kind of well-rounded. You know, I learned how to play the bass and the drums. You know, just try to get into certain instruments. You know, and guitar was one of my favorite. But I usually compose the music, you know, that it based off of, you know, guitar chords. You know, if I hear a rhythm or whatever, I can match it up, and then if I hear it, I like it, I'll make a beat, you know. Just kind of mix it up. You know what it's like to be a musician, like a DJ. So yeah, you know, I just stick with my craft, and being out here, I gotta keep my mind busy, you know, keep my body, you know, healthy. So I like to jog, I like to train, you know, I like to stay militant, because you know, I ain't trying to be a sitting duck out here, not at all. You know, they try to move in or whatever, and then try to just gentrify the whole thing again. You know what I mean? Then it goes our civil rights, our equal rights. You know, and that's just not something, you know, I'm gonna take lightly.
That I can understand. I can say, would you be open to, like, for example, if they offered you a hotel room or a project home key between the shelter, because obviously shelters is not hitting it. So what about that? Would you be okay having your own spot?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I feel like I'm self-sustained, self-reliant, self-confident, you know, and if I just had the opportunity to open door, you know, I'd probably utilize, you know, whatever services were provided, you know, and not take it for granted, because, I mean, first and foremost, I gotta give thanks to the Most High, because I'm out here unscathed, you know, I ain't affected by this pandemic, you know, and I just feel like my sustainability may not be like others, you know. I maintain my position because my diet, the way I live my life, you know, so it doesn't need to be infringed upon, you know. So you can keep your vaccine and all your bullshit, you know, and I'll be fine as an individual. You know, and just have to find other individuals, you know what I'm saying, who are able to sustain and able to maintain.
You've given us a lot of insight to it. It's like I appreciate you taking the time to come out and be gracious enough. A lot of the unhoused do the same thing. I find they're always the least pleasant, and they have to be the most sane, considering of how people think of we are the most insane. But then we are mostly sane and more giving and much more kinder people than I could say people sometimes that are unhoused. That's not to say all unhoused people are not, but there is this myth that the people that are on the street, we're just crazy or ready to attack at a moment's notice of these kind of things. But this is not true. I'm like, I've gone through several different places and they've been polite to me, been kind, and talked to me. Here's the thing for San Jose. How do you guys survive in the rain? Because it rained yesterday. What happened here?
Due to the rain and the wind, kind of picked up. Just kind of blew around a lot of debris. But I just kind of raked it up and just kind of swept it up. Kind of kept my area. I got a tarp on my tent, so the rain doesn't really affect me much, other than trying to keep dirt out of my tent. Just trying to stay clean. That's really it. But I feel like being in this situation, you just gotta consider certain things. Stay fed, stay clean. Clean clothes. Utilize your ability, your inherent capability. The other day I made I just used a tarp, and a bungee cord, and I set it up in such a way where I had heated up my own water. I took my own shower, so.
Oh, okay. That's definitely resourceful.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Don't lose touch of your ability to be resourceful, especially in times like this.
I heard that they allowed you guys to have the water on. Is that true? Or because I'm noticing that some spots they use the water here to be able to use. And obviously the city right now is not trying to do a big gentrification move over here because of pandemic. That's really just like nobody's really going to be buying, and then, that's just crazy. So that's not the plan. So apparently that's one of the things. The second thing I'm also noticing, again, the spaciousness of this. What if you guys created a community out here? Would you would you want to have a community out here, or would you want it to be back and regulated in this society?
Absolutely. Like, I feel as it sustains itself and we don't have problems out here, it ain't too problematic, and people, but then you got whatever kind of energy that comes into the area. I feel like the people who are here now, very peaceful, and some are crazy. There are people out here on drugs, so that's one thing to consider. Drugs changes a person's mind state, so they're liable to do anything, whatever, but if you have your inherent skills to survive, you know how to defend yourself and protect yourself, you should be all right.
Yeah, and substance usage is an issue where some people use it to cope with the stress of living out here too. So we have to understand that. The second thing we also have to understand is that even them, they need help. They need a place where they can be able to get well. You can get well out here, but you're still on the street. So why not take care of two birds with one stone? Get them well, get them up here, and then it's like, for example, there are people that are disabled. They just, they keep as healthy as they possibly can, but they cannot. It just won't be able to make the necessary things like some able-bodied or some very virile people can do. So that's just all types of realities that I'm starting to see that goes on out here. And one of the things I love to say is that you never know what talents that many of these people out here have. They may not be able to be a singer, but they may be able to cook. Like this, I just saw a woman come over here with a meal to feed somebody. They might be able to handyman, like the gentleman that we just interviewed. So there's several different ways people have contribute and have value. They find things to find harmony back into who their inner selves. And I think sometimes capitalism steals from that and robs and takes that soul that we believe that we should be everybody out on the street should just get a job. That's not the issue here. There's a lot of things that's going on behind the scenes that we need to delve deeper in. And with that said, I really thank you for your time, Raheem. This is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused. Is it okay if we come back and visit you sometime?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are welcome.
Thank you very much. We may bring some food too, because I'm a foodie. So.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, for sure. I ain't tripping.
All right. So this is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused. I thank you all for listening, and may we again meet in the light of understanding.
Nice.
Thank you very much. This is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused, and we are slumming. We're slumming with the house community and trying to get some insight on what's going on here. And this friendly dog, this is Henry. I may have to interview him first, or he might be trying to. Did he take the? I think he bit into the.
No, he didn't.
Oh, good. You bit into my lemon bar. So we're here, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the situation here in San Jose. And in the studios is Bertu, Gia, and David. And we hopefully you guys can hear. I'll ask a few questions, and if you could speak up a little loud that we can pick up what's going on. I'll put the mic in your direction. So what is your guys' perspective about the houseless situation here in San Jose?
I mean, definitely something that we've seen increase a lot since COVID has started. It's always been something that's been pretty intense here, but the last few months we've seen a huge increase in unhoused population.
Yeah, we've always had a lot of unhoused people in San Jose as long as I can remember. I was born and raised here, and it's just part of our community. But what I'm noticing now is a lot more people unhoused with animals on the street, and it's definitely increased since COVID started.
What about your David? What do you think?
The sad thing is that a lot of people were put in a position where they were no longer able to pay for their housing, and there has been an increase of people that didn't expect to be there. And it's only been a few months, but we can already see the impact on the streets.
So what do you think is this, with COVID-19 coming to bear, and there's a lot of rent protections are going to fade away, what do you think their solution is going to be with the unhoused community now?
Well, that's a twofold question. So as far as the rent control or the rent protection, San Jose's been pretty good about rent forgiveness. And so our policy here is that nobody can become unhoused due to not paying rent, but they will be liable for unpaid rents once, whenever this is lifted. So that can be kind of scary for people.
Exactly. I was going to say, because if they're, let's say, for example, they're shutting down businesses are at a crawl, and they're responsible and liable for rent that's untold because they couldn't work due to the city and the country's orders, how are they going to pay this back rent? Because
they're not going to be able to. There is no way that people will be able to pay this forgiven rent, which isn't really forgiven.
No, it's not. It's a moratorium.
Yeah, so it's a moratorium on evictions, and but people will be liable for that unpaid rent, and people aren't working, and so there's no way that they'll be able to pay it back.
Because mostly when I noticed, before I became unhoused, most people were trying to do the basic things. That means surviving, eating, learning, basically keeping alive, and then rent. And on existing back rent, that's just going to be it's going to be unrealistic.
It absolutely is unrealistic.
There's two ways to think about it, and unfortunately, the people renting are not always people that have a job either, right? It could be a grandmother, and that's what they're living off of, and they've got a 4-flat, and they've got 4 renters in there, and that's what this grandmother lives off of, and they're not receiving rent, and they can't pay for their own food as well. And so it's a really difficult problem. In that respect, and I think there should be some way to negotiate with larger corporations that own large buildings to help those kinds of people, and hopefully that's what's going on. I don't have visibility to that, but it's not an easy problem to solve. Well, it's not an easy problem to solve because, well.
I think one of the solutions that I've been saying, and people think when I say it, it's so crazy. We have to face reality, because when in the stages of grief of like a life-changing illness or something, we're in denial. But we're past that now. We are in a COVID-19. Businesses, tenants, and people in general are in some facet of way are being affected by COVID-19. And so, I know the Republicans are going to probably go into in a rage, but we have to look at subsidies. We're going to have to say that businesses need subsidies. We're going to have to say that people that are on rent, they need subsidies, and unhoused people are going to need subsidies. We're going to have to do this. It's uncomfortable people to say this. People don't want to face the reality, because in fact, you just keep blaming, and when you say that things are going to have to change, and then pushing it on people that are already burdened by financial debt or the wages.
Well, you can expect people to stay home if you're not paying them. I mean, at a certain point, we need to pay people to stay home if we want to.
Exactly. But to mention that's going to send people who are going to be in a rage because they're going to be.
The reality is, I mean, we just had an election.
Right.
And on our ballot were certain measures that would have allotted money that could have helped homeless people. The voters in San Jose voted against all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They all lost,
Mm-hmm.
and which means that unhoused people lost, and that's the reality of the situation. The thing that we have in Silicon Valley is we have this dichotomy between ultra wealthy people
Mm-hmm.
and unhoused people,
Mm-hmm.
and we also have many unhoused people that have good jobs, that have cars, that have salaries and families
Mm-hmm.
and animals.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have, unhoused people that really have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this huge dichotomy, the spectrum between wealth in this valley that I've never seen anywhere else. It's crazy. On the same block, you will have a home worth $3 million and an unhoused person
Mm-hmm.
on the same block.
And along those lines, one of the interesting things about what the government did do with the government assistance in the PPP loans and things like that was they focused on the people that were losing their jobs that were going to be homeless. They obviously didn't do anything about the people that were already homeless.
Well, and this is what we are talking about in Los Angeles. Here's the thing. For the months that were going on, the only thing that we got was $1,200. Now, the pandemic is raging on. People are still needing monies to be able to, and that money was either used just to eat or just to survive and do, because Los Angeles is expensive. People don't realize it. It's not necessarily like the wealthy like Silicon Valley, but it's freaking expensive to be unhoused there because things are so high. So $1,200 for at least for over 6 months is not exactly the same thing. And then too, like the small businesses there are really, really suffering because they didn't have enough. They had a lottery for people, the lucky people, to get some money for them to help with their business, and it didn't really work. And some of the landlords wouldn't accept the monies that the city was giving them to try to throw them out. So one of the bizarre things that I thought, it was like, you know what, if we just basically did subsidies for people to be able to, even the ones that struggle in businesses, the unhoused people, and everyone has the economy to continue to flow until, because they're going to spend the money, but it's just that it will stop this tsunami of things. That the rent could be taken care of, the businesses could be taken care of, and we won't have this tsunami of problems that's coming our way, and we're going to have to face it or just go under. What is you guys' thoughts on that?
I would say first, this was supposed to be a temporary fix.
Yeah.
Right? This was supposed to be, hey, there's a pandemic out there, and we need to make sure that we can keep everything afloat while we get through this.
Yeah.
And then we were going to take care of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of money was spent, but nobody took care of the pandemic. And so here we are months later, and we probably have another year or more of this, and everybody realizes we can't spend $3 trillion a month. That's a problem. I mean, unfortunately, it was a little bit of mismanagement in my view, but this was supposed to be keeping people off the street, not just giving them a Band-Aid so that 3 months later they would be on the street. And so that's unfortunate.
Well, one of the things that I think was part of the mismanagement, particularly in I'm saying Los Angeles, is that it's strange about Los Angeles is that they had the tools in their toolbox to commandeer hotels and commandeer money to do rent forgiveness for people. They hemmed and hawed and denied and this and this and this. But for miraculously, when it's come to gentrifying some new areas that the Los Angeles is trying to do, they magically do eminent domain for poor people's homes and tell them they got to go. I mean, so I'm like, that's crazy.
This is everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean,
that happened in San Jose.
It happens everywhere.
Google bought buildings and
they
evicted. I think it was 157 people.
Oh my goodness!
But they weren't the owners of the buildings. They were the people renting.
The tenants.
Tenants.
Some of them got a little money
to
be quiet and go away. And they signed everything, and they did that. This is a national issue. I mean, this is the American way, is to just kind of brush people under the carpet, nobody really cares about poor people. So it's happening everywhere.
Yeah, and houselessness in Silicon Valley is really, it's worse with COVID, but it is not a COVID specific thing. I mean, the rent here has always been astronomical, and it's significantly worse than it ever was. But this, I want to make sure people don't think this is a COVID problem.
COVID-specific problem.
No, it definitely
The
isn't.
houselessness existed way before COVID. I agree, but I do say that because one of the things that I see the wave coming, particularly like for example, in Chinatown where I was, people had businesses there for like 40 or 50 years, and they're shutting down because they can't. There's no businesses, and then we have issues with these people that have lived in those buildings and their homes was up of their businesses. The landlord is coming calling. They can't stay there. And so, and in Los Angeles hasn't got to the point where Silicon Valley is, but it's got to a point where, they're going to end up eventually on the street. And Los Angeles have an ability always to criminalize unhoused. Right now it's 4118. After that, they got something else. They got anything to criminalize unhoused people. You can look to Los Angeles. They got an ordinance for it. For sneezing, they got something for it. I keep saying that eventually they're going to have an ordinance for against the unhoused to float in the air because they ran them out the beaches, they ran them out the parks, they ran them out the sidewalks, and there's no way. It's just nowhere they're going to be. So it's like this is coming. This wave is coming.
That happens here as well, and we find communities that get created in parks or certain areas along the freeway.
Yeah.
And they'll sweep them, and they'll move them. So one of the things that we did, which I suggest you look into a little bit in San Jose, was the mayor came up with $17 million and built tiny houses.
Okay.
And so they allotted some land, and a lot of people volunteered and helped and built $17 million worth of tiny houses, and we're giving them to people.
Little tiny studios.
Yeah,
Tiny
they're
studios.
they're
Okay,
very
cool.
cute, and you should probably check it out.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah, so, but anyway, I mean, that was it was a tiny solution to this huge problem. Obviously, we need a lot more of these tiny houses.
Very much so.
One of the things I had mentioned before that I think is interesting is that we've had people come up with some decent solutions, like getting houses in neighborhoods where homeless people could live and use the space. Laundry, showers, barbecues, just a nice huge. There was one in particular off of 13th Street that was a mansion that we had the funding for to put people in. And the neighbors just all band together and shut it down. And the reality is there are unhoused people on the street anyway, so why not have them in a house? And to me it seems much better but for whatever reason the neighbors just decided they didn't. So we don't want them here. We don't want them to come to our street.
Do you guys what is your guys' ordinances against unhoused people? Because again, do you guys have ordinances?
I actually don't know.
That's what appeals. Yeah, because I'm just curious because I don't hear the numbers brandied out. Like for example, I don't know if you've seen like in Los Angeles, they got these big signs all on the poles and things like that. They make it very clear that they don't want unhoused people. That's the difference with San Jose. You don't see those kind of things. It's like it was really weird. It's very telling.
It's a part of our community and our lives.
Yeah.
And I think
it's a part of our culture going back decades. I mean,
we've always
to be honest, there's always been a homeless community here. Going back to the hippies in the 60s and the 70s, they lived in communities in the parks.
Right.
And things changed over the years. But there's certainly always been that kind of community here as a positive thing, not a negative thing. I think there's a different attitude here.
definitely
Maybe not a huge difference, but at least different than LA.
Yeah, definitely.
How view the homelessness here?
Yeah, I kind of can sense that a bit because when I walked down and I was looking, investigating, people were speaking to me, which is a bit unique in Los Angeles because it's just true. I mean, I was very shocked. Like, these people are actually speaking to me because LA has its own kind of synergy. They just they're very distrustful or very looking at you Even you guys are well dressed, they're not going to necessarily say anything to you, and if they see you in the park too long, then they're going to be dialing 311 or the police because they don't know you, and next thing you know, you're having to explain yourself. Well, I'm just here, just sitting in the park. Well, you can't be sitting in the park. You're homeless. Well, I'm not homeless. Well, let me see your ID. That kind of thing. So there's been some interesting conversations I've had with people that sometimes visited some of the parks that I go to. That I was just sitting here and I didn't know it was. So that they really want to make their imprint known that they don't not welcoming to unhoused people. So it's a little bit different here. I yet to saw a police officer until earlier, maybe later in the evening. Maybe I saw like 2 police cars, and it was at the police station. So I don't see that obsessive driving around,
No.
pulling up unhoused people like Los Angeles. I guarantee you will see at least 5 cars.
The police, generally, my experience with the police is they tend to leave unhoused people alone in San Jose. Unless there's an active crime, and so it's not a crime to be unhoused. So,
And they truly embrace that. Whereas, like in Los Angeles, they just use that as double speak. It's not a crime to be unhoused, but here's 311 if you see unhoused people in your neighborhood.
And obviously our perception of that might be, you might get a different story from someone who's actually experiencing it, but that's what I've noticed.
Oh, I bet you will.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
they have very different stories than we do.
We're not living it day to day. So.
Exactly.
No, and I'm sure you
But
will.
I in LA, when I do outreach, though, police will be around me
Yes,
doing.
exactly.
I've never been stopped here doing outreach.
You can definitely tell.
So that's something I can say firsthand.
Absolutely,
I do know
that's
that.
it. So you can definitely tell the difference, and it doesn't matter if you just look the part, or if you happen to have the temerity to help an unhoused person. Yeah, you're going to be looked at. And they're going to be pulling up on you or following you and that kind of thing. So
there's a lot more suspicion of not just unhoused people, but people who are working with unhoused people
Yes,
in LA that I
very much
haven't
so.
personally dealt with here. But
yes,
Wow.
yeah. It's very, very polarized. And yet here we had a recent meeting, and here is like one of the council members denying that the unhoused are criminalized. But that's Joe Boscano. Yes, he lives in his own twilight zone. But so is there anything that do you think the city could do to create a better system for helping unhoused people? That even though that they're not letting the police to be the ones that are at the front of it, but what are about the service providers that are helping unhoused people? The shelters. What the gentleman that I interviewed today said he was in a shelter, but he had PTSD. He didn't think it was. He couldn't handle it because shelters sometimes offer a little bit more stringency or a little more rote discipline. I won't say discipline.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit carceral.
Structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but a lot of people don't want to be in shelters for various reasons, and that's completely understandable and okay. And what was your question, though?
I think I was going to say, what do you think the city could do for solutions? Because if shelters don't work, why can't they just do maybe a hotel room key, or they could do a encampment to home kind of program?
I think a lot of that gets away from what the city can do, and then gets more into what housed people can do, because as she mentioned, and there have been a lot of kind of room key type projects, and a lot of people aren't as receptive to that, and so I think it then gets on our shoulders as house peoples. If you're gonna try to prevent these things in your community, then you can't expect the city to do things if you're going to try to shut it down.
Yes.
So
Right.
it really just gets to kind of stopping NIMBYs from doing their thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I think also, to answer your question, we've got a little Discovery Channel going on here.
Yeah.
To answer your question, I think the cities are trying a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think they've got a lot of ideas. There's a lot of pilot programs. But
Here in San Jose.
Yeah,
Yes.
but scaling those programs is the real difficulty, right? It's one thing to set up a house for people
Right.
in one community. There's another to handle the vast number of people that need it, and we need thousands of them,
Of course.
right? We need to grow at 3 million new housing units just to keep the prices from housing and rent from going up.
Yes, correct.
And that's
we're
one
nowhere
of our
near that.
Huge problem.
And we
Right,
needed
so-
to reallocate money.
We did need to
Certain
reallocate
people.
money,
Yeah.
and
But-
that didn't happen.
But also, I think too. Do you think the NIMBYism that drives it too? Because like you said, because I know in Los Angeles they could do a lot of things, but they keep giving over like 54% of our budget is to the police. I mean, so you can't. When people keep complaining about trying to get it changed, and then you keep throwing money at police officers, and nobody else get any money, maybe
That's because the voters believe that this problem should just disappear, and they believe that police can make it disappear. And so, I mean, that's the problem, is that they don't understand where the money should be going, and it should be going to people. We have one hotel actually on the Alameda where they do allow people to go in and shower when between room cleanings and things.
Right.
But that's just few and far between, and of course most people don't want to let their businesses be used by unhoused people.
Another thing too is like I was just interested. One of the gentlemen was telling me is that it's very difficult to leave your belongings because like today one of the residents was afraid this is going to get thrown in the trash. So you don't want to take a chance and go to this thing and come back and now you got to start off.
Everything's gone.
Yeah. So that's
That's one of the biggest problems when you have all your possessions with you. Is you don't have the flexibility to even go look for a job,
Yes.
or to go to an interview, or to
Right.
go take a shower, or to go do any of the things that you would want to do. We had an unhoused man living here with us for a while, and he was just excited because he could leave his stuff here.
Yeah.
And he left his stuff here and went and did some errands, and he was thrilled about that. And then I gave him a tent, and he took off, and he said that the police took his tent, I think it was 2 or 3 days later.
That's true.
And that was sad.
Yeah. And it's so heartbreaking because one, it's also there are people that are unhoused that are at work. For example, there's this gentleman that works a security guard at the park, and he's working like doing what he's trying to do to build up his money to get his stuff on his feet, and he comes back and all of his stuff is gone. So then it gets to the point where what's the point of me working? Because every time I go and leave, because I gotta go to work, I gotta go to job.
It's like a hamster
Exactly.
wheel.
I'm gonna keep losing my things. So what's the point of it? And so that's another thing. When you keep using police as the arm to criminalize people, they're not. People lose hope. People get frustrated, and it's like, it's only natural. I can tell you how many times I've lost my medicines because I went to go to a doctor's appointment, or I went to hustle to try to get on a housing list, or go see a caseworker, and I come back, all my stuff is gone. Or someone has stolen it, and then now I got to stress out because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Now I got to go save money that I thought I had. I was going to put money on for this. Now I got to go back and go and do the whole damn thing over again. So it's like it's very, very stressful to do that over a period of time, constantly. So I also had on my TikTok, it's a social media program I had the 60-gallon challenge, and I've been trying to get house people to do it. And what the 60-gallon challenge is
Afraid.
yes, well, you need to.
I better not be pouring 60 gallons of water on
No.
it.
A little
No
more
ice
exciting, a little more fun. So, for example, you guys have a lovely home.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say they will not be. We will. There's no way.
No way. Well, okay. So I'm going to say it. So you bring a 60-gallon garbage bag. You get up at 5 in the morning, and you have 10 minutes to put all your belongings that you hold important into that bag. And then after the 10 minutes that you open up, you show the camera of the things that you were able to put in a bag for in that 60-gallon bag for 10 minutes. In Los Angeles, that's what basically what the 4118 behind that is. As long as is that after that, the rest of you have all your belongings goes into the trash. So that's that's what they do in Los Angeles. You have 10 minutes. Here's your garbage bag. Put all your belongings in there, and after that, and then you know, for example, we've got people got their medication or of their family's ashes, or like the woman had her dead infant ashes and things like that. She was waiting when she got it home to put on a mantle and things. They throw it in the trash. All those kind of things happens, and I want the more and more house community members to know that this is a reality that many are really oblivious to. So what you got?
I was oblivious to that, and that is devastating to me.
So I was trying to find the people to do the 60 bag gallon challenge just to see the trauma that goes with it, because I don't know if someone runs up into you at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, hey, bam, let's get going, hurry up, you're taking too long, you're panicking and you're remembering this, and once you're finished, then someone comes up and put a yellow tape past your stuff, and if you forget something and you want to beg to get them there, if you go over that tape, then you get arrested. So that's another thing too. Now you become charged with theft or interfering with the city employee that's taking your stuff, that's just literally your stuff, legal your stuff, while they put it in the trash can. So that's the 60-gallon bag challenge. So
I don't know if I'd be able to do that, but what I can do is
He could do it.
find out whether or not that goes on here,
yeah.
and voice my opinion that it shouldn't go on here.
Absolutely, that's that's an excellent way of looking at it and bringing attention to it to other people, because many people are not aware of that, and that's an excellent thing. That's one of the whole ideas of why I did it. I think and a lot of people have came to me and contacted me and said, "Wow, I didn't know this was going on. Oh my God, this is horrible." So that's one of the things that I hope We The Unhoused continue to do, to open up and knock on the light of understanding to people. So you guys have been very gracious. Just to give a plug out, I love their pizza. The soup is to die for, and the lemon bar. I have to be low key, been keeping my eye on 2 interval loafers, because I was trying to hustle to get those, because I love sweets. So I want to thank you guys for the graciousness of inviting me over for your lovely dinner, and I hope the rest of my guests we again meet in the light of understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused, and this is Unhoused News. Our top story is, on Thanksgiving, California Highway Patrol violently dragged, hogtied unhoused people who were trying to reclaim homes during panic COVID-19 through the cheers of NIMBYs, not in my backyard. Lydia Ramos, one of the NIMBYs, claims that there are resources out there for the unhoused and for the unhoused to come to claim housing during COVID-19, that it didn't sit well with her. On Tuesday, December 1st, 2020, 13 council members approved Joe Biscino's ordinance to resume care suites. In episode 36, we investigated Joe Biscino's district and his heavy-handed approach and anti-unhoused sentiment against the unhoused. We interviewed residents there, as well as observers of how Joe Biscino really truly treats the unhoused community, and this is definitely a negative turn of events. Despite CDC guidelines, despite Eric Garcetti's ordinance of stay-at-home order, this is going to displace the many unhoused people and probably infect the entire area if they have other issues with COVID-19, if they're trying to self-quarantine. Project Roopkey estimates thousands will be thrown out of California hotels after the money runs out. Officials say that they must eject many of the hotels because they have accommodated more than 23,000 people. Tamokia Moss, who runs All Home, predicts that 10 to 20% will exit the program without anywhere to go. On other news, there is an estimation that the rent moratorium will be lifted and faded away, and many and thousands perhaps that are currently living in homes that have COVID-19 will be plunged into the streets or living with family members or staying in their cars. That's an added health risk for the unhoused community, on top of the CDC guidelines, as well as the hostile ordinances by Councilmember Joe Perscino and 13 council members approving the resumption of care sweeps. This will portend to be a very, very decimated population and an infected California that will increase COVID-19, not decrease it. This year in Aspen, Colorado, there will be no shelters for the unhoused in Aspen, Colorado. Aspen, Colorado's temperatures plunges into 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And there has a cold season from December to April. Where will the unhoused go there? And do they have 4118 there is the question. I'm Theo Henderson, and this is Unhoused News. This is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused, and I have been here in San Jose investigating the unhoused and the homeless crisis here. And I have an excellent human being here that's talking with me, and he's going to introduce himself. He's a Salvadorian Muslim, and without further ado, let's get his story of what's going on with him.
Hello everybody, my name is Jorge Alberto Maravilla Vasquez. I was born and raised in El Salvador. I've been here in America for 38 years. I used to work as a car salesman. I did everything in the automotive industry. But due to alcohol addictions, I got 2 DUIs about 10 years ago, 2010, and then ended up homeless. Great experience because being with other people, you meet all kinds of people, all kinds of stories. My story is that I love God almost everything. I have found out that I don't need no material things to live with it, that I can have everything that I have, and I'll be unhappy. So when I didn't have anything, the God took whatever happens to my life that I, due to my addiction of alcohol and drugs, due to the 2 DUIs, I got on the streets, no job, just lost everything, my savings. Obviously, my life was a wreck. I was out of control. And I was searching for a God, and I was met a God or this higher power that everybody talked, that God is love, that God is everything. And I said, where are you? So I was angry at God because I didn't understand what is God. I think God is everything, and we all God. I mean, it's very, 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 that's why sometimes we call it mystery when we get into the sacred books, like the Holy Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. Okay, then we go back to the Holy Quran and then the Holy Bible and all those kind of merging that all become one to the Creator. Okay, so my story right now, going back to the housing, is that I got housing, and then I got a case with my girlfriend, domestic violence, and then after that I turned my life, and I was unhoused for like 3 years, and then they pressed me to get a place. I got a place, but the place wasn't painted. So therefore, right there, I got some kind of skin disorder. I went to the hospital, and they misdiagnosed me there with rush. They gave me the wrong medicine. I took it. 2 weeks ago, I go back to the hospital, and then they find out that it was a case of the scabies. And then the treatment wasn't done right at the beginning. So I've been dealing with that for the last 36 months, but I'm almost there. Mm-hmm. So it's all good. It's been a great experience. I don't wish it up to my worst enemy. But going back to housing, I told them, look, since I know your construction and I know most of it, or everything that you want to talk to me and speak about, okay, you by law need to pay in this place. Then you want to get rid of me after 3 years that we can get housing. That's not my problem. They want to have affordable housing in San Jose. Mm-hmm. Okay, so $1,900 for maybe 750 square feet. It was really small, mm-hmm. and old, and around. The plumbing didn't work. It was moldy. I took pain. I took pictures of all that. I reported to people they know. So I got all this witness and everything like that. So what they press on it is that I'm a green carder, like I mentioned to you guys before. I'm from El Salvador. So they start pressing for my green card, and I said, look, I've been through 8 case managers, and they say, if I'm not traveling, and it's not an immigration attorney that has to put a hold in my in my green card, then I'm free to get all the benefits that I do. So, I mean, I don't know who you think you're dealing with. So we went back and forth. It was basically like a legal battle with everything female. You know what I mean? So, and it's all good. So I ended up being sick in the streets, and then where I was renting from, they got there 4 years ago. He left me homeless. He took my van first, he moved it out of the place. He said that he needed a parking space to put his cars there. He didn't have the right to. I did. We rent for him too. I ran a group called Vienna Start for Alcoholics Anonymous, and we've been around here for 31 years, and I was there for 10. So right now, I'm just thank God for living with the pandemic. Well, you know, I'll be honest with you guys, and I'm probably getting in trouble for this. I probably get the CIA calling me or chasing me. It's a pandemic because the people that really go into the internet just to investigate. And I want to thank you, brothers and brothers, for coming in here to put a voice to the homeless. We, the homeless here in San Jose, need a voice. I want to be that voice. I want to be the voice because there's nothing you can tell me. I had to live in the creek, I had to live underneath the bridges, I had to live all over, I had to live in little churches, what we call it. What the lady did, they serve themselves. There's not the people that want to serve themselves. The lady got even the toilet paper in the garage, and she got embezzled. Over there because she was crooked. The lady was running the place with us. Okay, the other guy.
That was the helping the unhoused.
She was the director of the shelter.
And she was taking the supplies for her own personal gain.
Yeah, all of it. And then all the money and everything, all the help that went there, the clothes and everything, they were stealing it. And
so the thing that helps the unhoused people when they say that shelters and that this place is shut down because the staff was crooked.
Yeah, big time. And you know, it's on the paper. You can research that. I did go back to Little Church about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then see, I can speak to about that. As an American, I consider myself an American, living here 38 years. I pay my taxes. I'm grandpa here. I got 3 beautiful children. I have Jennifer Rose, my oldest. She cuts hair. She lives in Palm Springs. My boy, he has his own company in Del Rio, Texas. And my daughter, she is in San Antonio, Texas. So all this coming around right now. Downtown City Street Teams is trying to put a voice into the homeless because there's $11 million for the county. Stanley Carter has all the stuff that we're gonna do right now. There's a flyer going on that I might have for you guys that you probably need to know because it has something to do with the homeless. The mayor has at 1618, there's a deal going, a parade, and it has a deal where they have like a guy living in like in a creek, okay? And we're gonna try to promote more into getting affordable housing. They're building, and there's other thing we'll find out where they're building. There's a building here for the homeless. They're gonna build so many people. So all that information, it is right here. If you go to City Hall, and they give you all the information for what we want to do. But if you want to come in here, I'm the one that can tell you another thing too. Thank God you got Carlos here. You got 2 voices. There's God working there. We can, the most thing we can tell. Then I can tell my people on my channel. When I get there, I can tell to my people, and people will know this in El Salvador, and people in Maryland, and people in New York. We will have to put a voice in everybody, and just let them know that we are not praying, that we're not submitting to God, that we just want and cry. But we're not saying, why is God just sending this pandemic? This is God. That's not God. God said that there's nothing but what He's gonna send when the real time of He come. You know.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us. We're going to try to interview a few other people
Love
here
it.
as well.
Thank you very much and welcome, brothers.
Thank you. We may come back and
may the peace of God be upon you.
You too. And this is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused. We're going to continue to mill about, and I hope we again meet in the light of understanding. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, brother. And that was a great interview.
Thank you. Thank you. This is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused. We're currently here in San Jose, California, and I've been covering the beat on Los Angeles of the houseless or the unhoused community there, but now I'm looking at the unhoused community here. We have a gentleman here in the studios that's been, I believe you say you've been out here for 32 years?
Yeah, I'm Morgan David Sandoval Sr., and I'm 64 years old. And after my divorce, I went to the streets, and then I never went away, and I was there for 32 years until my worker, I got a county worker, and then finally it took him a year and a little bit over a year to convince me to come to apartments right down there. It's called the Villa at the Park, and there's a brand new place and everything like that. And so I'm giving it a go, and I signed a 3-year stitch, so I'm in it for the 3 years.
So how did you come out here for 32 years? You just said you was incarcerated, or?
Yeah, I got divorced, and I had a good job and everything with HP and all that. So I worked on. I told my wife, okay, you just keep the apartment and the house, and I'll go, find some more. And so I did that, and it went along like that. And then I got so used to being on the streets, and like I said, I'm not afraid of anybody. And I mean, they're big. They can beat me up. They beat me up a hell of a lot of times. I almost got killed by an Aryan brother when I was living with my daughter, Modesto.
Wow.
Yeah.
What happened there? How did that?
I was picking up recyclables. That's my thing, because I got to keep Mother Nature, because Mother Nature's she's running out of everything, man. We're sucking her dry. And so anyway, I was getting all this recyclables, and I can hear it. It's a small little parking lot, and it's like I can hear the car. And I go, that doesn't seem right. And I looked over, and this guy's behind the steering wheel like that, and giving me the filthiest looks. I'm going, oh shit. And so he took off, and next thing I know, I just dropped and I jumped up as high as I could, and I hit the top of the hood, and then slammed into his windshield, busted that, and then he slammed on the brakes, and the witnesses said that I flew maybe about 20 to 25 feet in the air, came down, broken arm, fractured my leg, all kinds of cuts and bruises and everything like that. And then this gentleman was in a 3-piece suit, and he goes, I own these buildings, so don't worry about it. Those 2 young men right there are taking care of that guy. And he goes, and they're beating the hell out of him. And he goes, I called the cops and all that, and the cops came, the ambulance and all that shit, and they took me. And I go, well, this is my daughter's number, and I'm gonna pass out. And I passed out. The next thing I know, I was in surgery, and I can hear my daughter screaming at, where's my dad? Where is my dad? Blah blah blah. Anyway, so but that was that. And then so, but yeah, living in the streets is they gave me a chance, and I said, nah, I had enough money. Fuck it, I ain't gonna go live. Nah. So I started living in the street. I was on 10th Street, and I had one whole block. It was my own. I'm a pack rat, so I had collected all and selling stuff, and so the police said, oh, come on, and then the county got into it, and then that's why I'm here. And it's a decision that I don't think I'm going to regret. And then once my contract ends after 3 years, if I decided to stay here still, I think I might just do it. Because I'm 64 years old, and I've had enough bullshit on the streets and everything like that. Because and like I said, I've gotten beat up so many times, and I got so many scars. And this is my latest scar. Look at my.
How did that happen?
3 Mexican nationals. They apparently didn't like the way I was dressed and the way because I don't whatever. And I know karate, but I'm equivalent to a black belt, because my sensei said, if I give you a degree, every place you go, you're gonna have to report to the police. I go, oh. Well, I don't want to do that. He goes, that's what I'm saying. Missed the last week of the class. I go, okay. So I did. I went back to him and everything. Him and his wife, they're going to get married, and he's from Hawaii. And so anyway, that was that. And then, so yeah, I got in here, and it's been working out. I mean, the first 6 months and everything, it was kind of rough because I wasn't used to house rules and all that kind of shit. Prison rule, or the county. I was in prison for a little bit less than 6 months. You know that California has a verbal assault law?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Why was you in the jail for 6 months?
I was going to go to prison. I was in prison for 6 months because California has a verbal assault law.
What does that mean?
If you cuss out somebody and they hear it and somebody records it, they can use that against you. And I was at a VTA stop. And this big guy.
What's a BTA? I don't know.
Valley Transit Authority.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the buses. The buses.
Okay.
And so I was waiting for my turn on the bus, and this big old guy. I mean, made that guy look small. That's how big this guy is. Right? Okay. And he pushes me out of the way, and gets in front. And I go, hey man, blah 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 blah, and then next thing you know, yeah, okay. So I walked away, and about a week later, I'm doing my normal bus thing. And a car comes up, and I could tell it's a cop car, it's a detective car. And 2 guys get out, and I go, oh yeah, and they go, what's your name? I told him my name, Morgan Davis Sandoval Sr. He goes, okay, and blah, 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 and they showed me pictures. He goes, you know this person? No. You know this person? Yeah, that's a big moose that pushed me out of the way and got in front of my, at the bus over there in Morgan Hill. Mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, okay, so you do, I recognize him, I don't know him. Mm-hmm. He goes, oh, okay, well, you're under arrest. I go, what? You're under arrest for verbal assault and harassment. And I go, for what? He goes, well, that big old moose, as you call him, is only 16 years old. I go, oh my God. And that was the bottom. And I go, yeah, let's take me in, blah, blah, blah. And in court, I was in front of the judge and the mama. The kid was so afraid of me, he wouldn't even go to the court. With all those cops, sheriffs, deputies, and sanitary police, he was so scared of me. And I felt like crap. Mm-hmm. And so I told the judge, and he goes, what's your plea? I go, I'm pleading something, but can I see something to the mother, please? And so I told the mother, I'm so very sorry that I did that. I didn't realize that your son was only 16 years old, and blah, 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 blah. And she goes, thank you very much. I go, okay. And then, so I turn around, I go, all right, Judge, do what you're gonna do. He goes, all right, well, I was gonna, you could get 6 years. I go, 6 years? He goes, yeah, but I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna give you 3. I go, okay.
Oh my God.
Okay.
That's very nice.
Yeah, very nice. And see, I'm a northerner, and they sent me to a Southern California prison. They wanted me dead. And so, about a few months later, my PO shows up, and I go, now what are they gonna do to me? And he goes, Sandoval, guess what? I go, I don't know. What? He goes, you're gonna be released next week. I go, what? He goes, yeah, I got you released. How did you do that? Well, because you didn't hit nobody, you didn't hurt nobody, and it was just verbal assault. And so far, you've been good on terms with the officers and the parole and the jail, everybody, right? And so that, and what's his name? Oh God, the mayor. I mean the governor. He said, well, they're overcrowded because they're getting prisoners from out of state because California makes more money off the prisoners. Okay. Oh yeah, they make a fortune. That's why we got more prisons here in Santa Clara County than anywhere else.
That explains the criminalization of unhoused people.
You got that right. I mean, hey, you know, talk about that. You know, I mean, and this county literally makes a fortune off of of that. And so, and then the upper state makes a fortune off the prisons. Okay. So we get prisoners all the way from New York. You know, and they send them over here because we got more room, and you know, and I guess you know logistics of it, where you get some murderers or other kind of people in there like that, and so that was that, and so I said okay, and I go wow, I go cool, and so I watched my P's and Q's and my probation and everything all went by and everything, and I was a free man, and since then I haven't gotten in trouble, I haven't did anything. I've been to county. I haven't been to jail or nothing. So, I made a promise with God that I was going to behave myself. But other than that, that's about it. I mean, this park right here, this used to be a heavy-duty homeless park and everything like that. But the city has been working to get everybody out, and so it's a normal park, so that people can bring their kids, or you can spend a day looking at gophers or the squirrels running around, and then plus too, we get a bunch of the ducks, the geese. They love this park because the worms are here. They got all. They work. You can see there they are right there. Yeah. They work one side of the park and they work all the way, and then they turn, and then they come back, and then they go work there. They got it like an organized thing. For supposed to be dumb animals, they're pretty damn smart. Other than that, that's about it, and everything like that. So I was just gonna go and trade my pennies in and see if I can make a beer money.
So you paint, huh? Huh? You paint?
No. I was a material handler in the electronics business, and I worked on cars. And I'm the youngest in the International Show Car Association. In 1976, I was the youngest winner of that show car organization in the San Jose Autorama. And I'm still in the record books. I was only 17 at the time. And I clocked everybody, buddy. Best custom interior, best custom paint, most popular car by Spectator Boy, best car by to everybody else, and my record's still standing there, and I'm so proud of that. Other than that, that's about it, And I got a son and a daughter. Daughter's her head nurse for a retirement home. My son's an ex-Marine, And he works for the Veterans Administration, making sure the veterans get what is owed to them, not what was given to them. Because what's owed to them and what's given to them is too. I mean, my God, my son was telling me some ugly stories. I go, no wonder. Yeah, a lot of vets are out here on the street because they don't get what they're supposed to get.
That's horrible.
Yeah, so he's taking care of that section, and so that's about it. And me, I'm too old to get a job, because everybody says it, but I can kick and fight, but no, I can't work. Get me.
Well, thank you very much for your time. This is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused. We're going to come back to San Jose again to hopefully we can check up on you.
Oh yeah, hey, just go to the Villa of the Park.
Yes.
You'll find me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thank you all for listening, and hopefully we'll meet again in the light of understanding.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
All right, man. You have a great one, man.
You too, man. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I just hope that helps you. I hope that helps you, because you know something? We're all human beings,
Yeah.
regardless of the fact. We all are human beings. You have a great one now.
You too. Take care now.
You're watching Wheel of 4118! And welcome back. As always, I'm Host Teeth with the most teeth. Theo, are you ready to play?
I'm so confused.
Sounds good. Now, let's spin the Wheel of 4118!
What's 4118?
It's the specific LA municipal code that city council members are trying to amend so that unhoused people like you, yes, you, would be arrested for sitting, sleeping, or lying down outside.
What? I don't want to leave.
You can't! Now let's take a look at these amazing prizes. Behind curtain number 1 is a police officer who will arrest you.
Yeah, that's a good prize for him.
If 4118 passes, all police have to do is offer a vague promise of shelter, and if you decline it, they will put you in handcuffs.
But there aren't enough shelters for the unhoused in LA.
Yeah, man, it's just a formality.
Can you even do that?
How about I just give you this raincoat? That's technically shelter if you put it over yourself. And if you say no, you go to jail.
This is awful.
That's Hollywood, baby. And behind curtain number 2 is... Oh, it's the police again. You'll be arrested. That's your other option.
What? That's terrible.
Call your city council members by November 24th to reject Prop 4118 and tell them house keys, not handcuffs!
This episode of We The Unhoused in San Jose, California has offered some similarities and has offered some differences. The most similarities is one, unhoused people who try to adapt in any circumstance, no matter where you're in Los Angeles or San Jose. The differences is some of the nuances there. In San Jose, they have worked successfully in trying to make unhoused people disappear. Los Angeles, California is too densely populated, and it's going to be impossible to force people to disappear. San Jose's wealth has made them have a sense of fake concern, and long as they're not seen in the downtown proper, then they can try to coexist to a certain degree. The first guest I interviewed today stated that they had a 24-hour notice during COVID to extricate it. So tomorrow he may not be at the same location. So that is something that they have in common in San Jose and Los Angeles. So unhoused people also have a sense of kindness that seems to be transmitting from Los Angeles to San Jose. And there's some people here that want to do something and want to make some changes. That's something that's also here in San Jose. So in the long and short of it is that houselessness is here to stay in some respect, is how we treat our unhoused neighbors. This is Theo Henderson from We The Unhoused. I thank you all for listening, and I hope we again meet in the light of understanding.